Good morning. So, 7 billion. The global population currently stands at just over 7 billion. Out of the 7 billion, well over 400 million people suffering from mental, neurological, and substance use disorders. Let's put that into context. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 people during the course of their lifetime will suffer from a mental illness. In fact, the World Health Organization goes as far as to say, by the year 2020, that's in 4 years' time, depression will be the leading cause of disability globally. I'd just like to shift your attention to Africa. Africa has the largest treatment gap for mental, neurological, and substance use disorders. You know, when I told my grandmother that I was going to London to talk about my work, she emphasized that you should try and put things into context when you speak. So let's try and put that statement into context. So what it actually means is for every single psychiatrist on the continent of Africa, you have 1.5 million people that he or she may have to take care of. It's no better for clinical psychologists. Neither is it better for mental health nurses. Now, it may all sound doom and gloom for Africa, but actually, in recent years, there has been growing evidence supporting the use of community health workers to reduce this treatment gap, not only for mental, neurological, and substance use disorders, but for a wide range of other priority public health conditions, such as HIV and AIDS, such as maternal and child health, for instance. Take, for instance, this file photograph from rural Malawi. What you see there is a community health worker, a village health worker using a fetoscope, a device which has been in use for many, many years, detecting fetal distress. Failure to detect fetal distress could be a huge problem. Now, similarly, in mental health, we actually have evidence, growing evidence supporting the use of lay health workers to reduce the treatment gap for mental, neurological, and substance use disorders. In fact, we also have evidence to support how we could possibly support these lay health workers through supervision and monitoring, through the use of mobile phone technology. Africa has the largest growth in mobile phone use. Thirdly, we know, again from empirical observation, that when you treat mental health, you improve outcomes of a whole lot of other priority public health conditions, such as HIV, and maternal and child health. Over the past 10 years, what we've done in Zimbabwe is put together a package based on empirical observation, based on research, and we've called this package the Friendship Bench intervention. The Friendship Bench has been running for just over 10 years now. It is delivered by lay health workers who are trained in the basics of cognitive behavioral therapy. For a long time, it was believed that CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, could only be delivered by trained clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, and CBT specialists. We now know that lay health workers can make a difference. They can actually deliver aspects or components of cognitive behavioral therapy successfully. We've done that. We've showed that we can train lay health workers to deliver this intervention. We've recently trained 300 lay health workers who are delivering this intervention. using a key component that we call kuvura pfungwa, which is the Shona word for opening up the mind. I will illustrate what the Friendship Bench is all about through this file photograph from our current scale-up. What you see in that file photograph is one of our lay health workers. Her name is Ambuya Sheila. She's sitting there with a client. Her name is Amai Tatenda. Amai Tatenda had visited the clinic on several occasions. She's diabetic. Her blood sugar was uncontrolled despite being on medication. She's also suffering from hypertension. And after her third visit, the clinic nurses decided, why don't we screen her using a validated screening tool? She's screened and she's found to score high. She's then referred to the Friendship Bench to see Ambuya Sheila. Ambuya Sheila starts with the first session, which we call opening up the mind. Opening up the mind is all about an exchange which occurs between these two folks. And it's really something that we call in the Friendship Bench team the ping pong game. During the ping pong game, the client talks about the issues she's facing. She opens up and talks about her helplessness, her feelings of depression, suicidal thoughts. She opens up and talks about her husband who recently died 9 months ago, and the community now talking behind her back about why her husband died and what possibly could have caused all that. During that process, the lay health worker manages to empower this client so that this client is able to take ownership of her problems and do something about our problems. That's the critical thing that we need in Africa, to do something about our problems, not to have a fatalistic approach. Now, what then happens is she strengthens this lady through a process of kusimudzira, which in Shona means uplifting, followed by kusimbisisa, which is strengthening. All this work has been published extensively. We have tested this package through a cluster randomized controlled trial, which was funded by Grand Challenges Canada a year ago. And we found that this package not only improves outcomes of mental health, but improves outcomes related to non-mental health issues, such as quality of life and largely economic functioning. When you treat mental health issues, people function better economically. We have also managed to scale this up to over 70 primary healthcare clinics, and we have, to date, taken care of 20,000 people. That's just in the last 6 months. And over 200 benches have been distributed, and we're aiming for 1,000 friendship benches across the country by mid-2017. That graph illustrates the number of people that we're seeing on the Friendship Bench. The blue line is what would normally happen. The red line is what is happening as a result of the Friendship Bench. And finally, that is Farai, one of our very first beneficiaries of the Friendship Bench. Once the Friendship Bench is scaled up, more than 50,000 people like Farai will have access to mental health services, which they currently don't have. Thank you.